reach out to for a variety of reasons. They have a real heart for them, and they didn't just say, well, that's sad, or it's too bad, I'm going to go back to America and do my thing and kind of try to forget that. As they saw the crisis over there and what was going on, they really stepped in and became very active in trying to figure out how do we become part of the solution. And they're a huge part of the solution, particularly in Liberia now and in Benin. So I want you to welcome Rebecca Pratt. Come on up, Rebecca. Tell us what's going on over there right now.
Yeah, you guys have been a huge part of helping us with these kids, and we've been in some dire straits financially because everything is only by donations, and this church has stepped in numerous times and have just helped us rescue more kids. So I'm just going to give you just a little history for some of you who have no idea what we're doing over there, and then I'm going to share some kids' stories and then the specific orphanage that you guys are particularly sponsoring almost all the kids, the 33 kids in that home. So we started Orphan Relief and Rescue, my husband and I, 6 years ago when we lived in Africa for 2 years. And we kept stumbling upon these terrible orphanage scenarios where kids were literally dying and living in squalor. We went to the government social welfare office. They didn't know what to do with these kids because there's a big chunk of directors that use the kids as a business and keep them in squalor so that the people from the West will see how pathetic they are and want to start giving resources. And of course, they just pocket that. So the government's just told everybody, just don't touch these ones in those conditions, which for us, when you see the dying, it's unacceptable to just do nothing, even if there's corruption stuff going on. For us, we thought we have to figure out who's corrupt and who's not, and the only way to do that is to build relationships. It wasn't okay for us to just stand by and literally watch kids be buried in the backyard with no questions asked by the community. And that's what we stumbled upon started in Benin, West Africa. So we started a feeding program just on our own and just started building relationships and found out that there is a way to find out who's corrupt and who's honest. So we worked real close with the social welfare office. We started, this 6 years ago, and when we started this, we particularly said we're going to help the orphans that no one else will touch, the ones in the most deplorable, desperate situations and the most complicated. So we started just with the social welfare office saying, just alert us when you see a child that has died or that is, an orphanage setting that's, the kids are starving. And so they did. And the first one that we started helping, we uncovered a whole trafficking ring that was happening. And the government, we empowered them to get them legally closed down. And it was this huge success story. It was all over CNN and everything. And the government got the credit for that. And we did not want our name attached to it at all. And of course, our staff wanted a little credit. And they were like, wait a minute, we did that. And we're like, no, it's okay. We wanted the government to get a taste of what it's like to actually do justice because there's so much corruption and they don't do things unless there's personal gain attached to it a lot of times. And so we kind of started giving them a taste of what it is to do justice in their country. And so we became very good friends starting right off with that because they saw, oh, you didn't even care for the credit of that. And so that really was cool, just learning how to work with the government. And then we found some great directors who really just were looking like the same as the other ones. And we put them on a 5-year plan. So we have 5 orphanages on our 5-year plan to get them sanitary, safe, self-sustained, where we start businesses, help the orphanage directors start 3 small businesses so they can provide for themselves. We have a great discipleship program with the kids, teaching them that they're valuable. God did not destine them to be an orphan. And our construction project is amazing. Before and afters are incredible that we have on our website. As well as we empower the government to close down the ones that are bad. So we give them all the evidence we have against the ones that are using the kids as a business and keeping them in squalor and doing these trafficking and horrible abuse things. And so that has become extremely successful. We have 7 full-time staff members with us. 3 people from the West live in Liberia full-time. We have a friend running the Benin Orphanage Safe Home there. And out of our 5 core orphanages on our 5-year plan, we have graduated 2 of them now who are completely self-sustained. And so the other 3, we're still working with them. And then we are being asked by the government to build a transition safe home in Liberia for the kids that are in those horrible orphanages. Once the government closes those down, they have nowhere to put those kids now. And so there's 17 on that list that they are waiting to close down. And as soon as they have a safe place to put the children, to transition them into a safer place permanently, they won't close down anymore. So that's this year, that's what we're going to focus on, is raising the finances to build one of these transition safe homes. And one of our most desperate scenarios that we rescued a couple years ago was Corpu. Corpu weighed, let's see, I don't see these slides going at all. There we are, thank you. Corpu weighed at age 3, weighed 14.7 pounds. And she literally was dying in front of us, and she was in one of these bad orphanages. It took us a couple weeks to get her out with the social welfare office. But once we did, today she is thriving, healthy, beautiful, huge rescue mission. Our most recent rescue mission this month was little Sylvester. And Sylvester is 7 years old, only weighs 30 pounds. The normal average 2-year-old here in America weighs 28.4 pounds, and he weighs 30 pounds. So he was dewormed, horrible things came out of him because he was eating in the garbage dump in a village, and the director saw him and started following him around and realized nobody's taking care of this little boy. We think he's autistic or something. There's something not quite right with his mind. And when the kids are a little bit imperfect in these areas, they're discarded by society, and they're considered less than, not valued at all, and nobody was caring for him. They couldn't find his parents anywhere. The relatives just said, you know what, they call him mad. He's mad in his head, and he's not basically worth the time of day. So this director took him into the orphanage, and he's being nursed to health. And he is the most precious, adorable. Our field nurse called me this week to give me an update, and she just said, it is shocking how discarded this little boy was and how precious and tender he is in his spirit. And so this was just a really cool rescue mission this month. And in the orphanage that you guys specifically are helping, the Francis Gaskin Orphanage, little Eddie was a huge rescue mission a year and a half ago. This is little Eddie, and the directors are beside him, and they are phenomenal mom and dad. And they are raising 33 orphan children. And Eddie was left in the village at a year and a half old. He was left to die by his mother. His mother had no maternal affection for him at all. We don't know if maybe she had been raped, or something happened where she just didn't even care about this child. So he was dying. The neighbors alerted the directors and said, within our village here, a child is dying. And so he was rescued, and they nursed him to health. It took them about 6 months to actually nurse him to be healthy. And then he started calling them mom and dad and didn't want to go back to his parents or his mother. And they tried to get him to go back, but finally it wasn't going to happen. And we were thankful that the directors were able to take him in. But those directors on my last trip, they said, Rebecca, if you had not been helping us as Orphan Relief and Rescue, there is no way we could have taken him in. We would not have had the resources or the means to do it. And so I want to thank you guys, because you guys really are the rescue mission for these kids. We're the hands and feet on the other side, but you guys are empowering us, enabling us to do what we do. And these are just some kids from the Francis Gaskin Orphanage. You guys took on the 33 kids to sponsor all 33 kids so that we can keep them in school and feeding them and raising them in a healthy way. And they all love God with all their heart. They're just the most precious, adorable kids that have praise times every single morning, prayer times. They're praying intently for all of you who are sponsoring them. And they actually did a cultural dance that they put together, and they performed in front of the U.S. Embassy and got the highest award for their dance. There was all these different dance teams, and they actually got the highest award. So it was this huge thing, that the orphans were the ones that got the award and that were the best dancers.
So it was just really, really cool. And I just wanted to, my husband and I are just in awe of this church. We talk at night and say, we're just shocked at, you guys aren't a huge congregation, and yet your hearts are so huge. And we just wanted to say thank you again in person. And Tim wishes he could be here he's the very social one, so he would probably shake and hug every single one of you guys here. But I did write a book, Inspired to Action. If you haven't read it, I would encourage you to read it. It's really, the subtitle is How Following the Promptings of Your Heart Can Change the World. And that is what we're finding. If you listen to the Holy Spirit and the nudges and the promptings that he prompts your heart to do, every single day in your life, there's these miracles and there's these life transformations that God wants to do through your life. And that is what we have found in all of this. It's not something that just snapped our fingers and, it happened. We had to go through some hard, tough, saying yes to God things and to get to this point. And now we look at all the fruit, and it's just been a beautiful picture. So, thank you.